Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Realcomm's Managing Partner and Program Director, Howard Berger.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Howard Berger, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this, our joint general opening session for our 15th annual Realcomm, as well as our second annual IBCon conference. Now, I just wanted to make mention of the graphic. That was not a computer-generated graphic. What you actually saw was lighting that was produced for real buildings. And that is a product that's actually available that you can actually apply to your buildings today. And I want to thank Standard Vision for providing that video. For the next 2 days, you're going to be hearing a lot about our conference theme, Revolution. Because in the context of what we do at Realcomm, IBCon, and Cortec, that is innovation, automation, integration, process improvement, all built on the strategic application of technology. I think we've seen a year, this past year, unlike anything we've seen previously since .com. The number of new ideas, innovative solutions, quantifiable case studies has just skyrocketed. And over the next 2 days, we're going to be bringing you the best of what we found. Now, working on the conference has been exciting, sometimes a little brain-numbing, but all in all, a lot of fun, and has connected us with a lot of outstanding people. I'm personally grateful for the opportunity to have been able to work with Jim and the team on it, and it's been a lot of work pulling it together, but it took a lot of resources, and we reached out unabashedly for help. In the process, a number of folks have stepped up, and many were old friends they've been with us over the years. But we also made a lot of new friends this year who both saw the vision, partnered with us, and by contributing time, energy, brain power, and resources, helped us put these twin conferences together. Now, there's no way I can thank everyone who contributed. I probably nearly have to thank just about everybody in this room, but there are a few special folks that I think it's important that I acknowledge before we get underway. First, I'd like to thank this year's Realcomm and Advisory and IBCon Advisory Council chairs, Scott Morey, CIO for General Growth Properties, RJ Giuliano, CIO for Brandywine Realty, and Daryl Smith, Director of Facilities and Energy for Microsoft. In addition to being three of the busiest people on the planet, these gentlemen gave their time and were instrumental in helping us set the course and direction for the twin conferences. Thank you, Scott, RJ, and Daryl. There's no way we could have put on this level of conference without the support of our sponsors also. They do much more than just write checks. They provide intellectual support and much of the raw content that made these conferences possible. It's been a partnership because without the good work they do, we really wouldn't have that much to talk about. So our sponsors for today's general session are Yardi, probably the most visible and trusted brand in the business solution side of our industry. Thank you, Anand, Brad, Rob, and the entire Yardi team for honoring us again this year with your support. Our highest level of support comes from our platinum sponsors, and this year's platinums are Yardi and Tritium. And shortly, you're going to be hearing from Yardi's CEO and founder, Anand Yardi, and Tritium's president and general manager, Nino DeCosmo. Thank you, Yardi and Tritium, for providing us the cornerstone that's allowed Realcomm and IBCon to be possible. Let me go back. Our gold sponsors for this year are RestorePoint, Hypercept, Argus, GPG Advisors, and MRI Software. Thank you, gold sponsors. Finally, I'd like to thank both our Realcomm as well as our IBCon advisory councils. There are too many advisory council members to name, but you know who you are. Advisors, thank you for all your help and support in putting this conference together. By the way, these advisors were the men and women, they were really the body and the soul of the conference. And by making themselves virtually available around the clock, it helped ensure that we were bringing together the right people, the right ideas, and the right stories together to put this together. Also, many of the advisors were instrumental in the program planning process, and they'd taken active roles in the delivery of the educational content by moderating, speaking, participating on panels, contributing ideas and perspectives, and it's truly been an honor to work with such great folks. The lion's share of the work to put together this conference has been done by the chairmen, sponsors, and advisors. The Realcomm team's really been blessed to have the opportunity to facilitate the aggregation of all these great minds and ideas, bring them together in the walls of these conference rooms. So thank you, chairmen, sponsors, and advisors. Finally, I'd just like to say thank you to the Realcomm team. They've worked hard to pull this together. It's been more of a labor of love than a job. Thank you, Realcomm team. I'd like to introduce our keynote presenter now. Thornton May has been ahead of the big trends. He's been labeled by Fast Company as one of the top 50 brains in business. Thornton's a regular columnist for Computer World and author of the book, The New No, Innovation Powered by Analytics. Currently, he serves as Executive Director of the IT Leadership Academy hosted by Florida State College. His forecasts on the impact of changing technologies on humans and human institutions have been used to create the national strategic plans for Korea and Singapore, and his projections have informed 25-year scenarios for the United States Navy and NASA. His peers view him as a consummate thought leader and innovative thinker, and this morning Thornton's going to be sharing his vision of the future that'll affect us as both individuals and organizations, as well as the commercial and corporate real estate industry at large. I'm pleased to introduce Thornton May.
Well, good morning, everyone. Let's try that again. I'm very, very fortunate that in my misspent career, one of the things that we didn't mention in that wonderful introduction is that I am actually a business school professor. I teach, I'm responsible for the EMBA program at the IT portion of the EMBA program at 4 business schools, UCLA, UC Berkeley, Arizona State, and The Ohio State University. At all of those august institutions, the students insist on an ex-ante basis of knowing how they will be graded. All my students know that I'm a big class participation guy. In fact, I'm such a big class participation guy that 40% of their grade is based on class participation. Now, based on your tepid response to my morning salutation, you are all sucking a D right now, all right? So let's try that again. Good morning, everyone. All right, better. Thank you. It is great to be here. I mean, legitimately great to be. I'd like to begin with a couple thank yous. First thank you goes to the conference organizers. Basically, I am very fortunate. I do a lot of conferences, all right? You know, as futurists, we get out a bit, all right? But basically, I was very fortunate. I ran the technology track for the Davos conference, right? You know, very high attitude, high maintenance bunch of people. But I have never, in my entire life of conferencing, been exposed to and been privileged to work with people who are so passionate and so professional. So Jim Young and Bailey Howard, you have impacted my thinking, and I'm now a groupie. I mean, I had no idea. So I love it. And by the way, if you don't know these gentlemen, know them, swap a card with them, basically do a brain meld with them. They have materially impacted my future. So thank you for I'm a better person for knowing you guys. I'd like to thank our solution sponsors, all those wonderful sponsors you saw there. We call them sponsors. We do not call them vendors. Vendors are people who put like candy in machines. These are actually people who basically you can trust your kids with. I mean, so I like these folks. Been hanging out with those guys. All right, so hang out with them. And then my final thank you goes to you, the participants, because I know that I am presuming upon your scarcest and most valuable resource, which is your time, and I will make sure that I try in my humble way to basically make that you get a supranormal return on your temporal investment. So that's going on. Truly honored to be with you. This is a special session. We don't do it that often. You are a special audience. Now, basically, Jim and Howard said, these are the smart ones. These are the smart. There are other places where I guess commercial real estate people can go. But but those oasis of dullards, that's not here. You are the smart ones. You are a special audience. I'm not sucking up, all right? You basically have raised your hand and said, I'm going to get out of the day-to-day quotidian whack-a-mole, soul-destroying, answering email type of thing, and actually think about the future and be better. So thank you. And a critically important topic, the future. all right, at a unique moment in economic history. I mean, I'm from the Midwest. I am an American, which means that my use of the English language is not terribly precise. This is precise. It's a unique moment. It's not necessarily an unprecedented moment. So that's going on, if you will. I am a futurist. It's what we call an uncontested market space. I mean, it's a good thing. there are a lot of, all right? But I'm not just any futurist, ladies and gentlemen. I'm an empirical futurist. Huh? You don't typically see those. So like what I do is I collect data. And so for the past 31 years, I'm actually older than I look. I look like a young guy. I'm actually a cherub from hell. But anyway, I'm an old guy, right? You know, but in every major geographical market, that's actually not true. I did not go to Antarctica. But in every vertical market, 20 of which commercial real estate is one of them, basically at every level of the enterprise, basically from the boardroom, basically to the mailroom, I've been asking three simple questions. What has changed? What will change? And what do we do about it? What has changed? What will change? And what do we do about it? And that forms the empirical basis of some of my comments to you this morning. All right, so that's going on. The plan for our brief time together, all right, basically, we are going to go through a series of time-box exercises, all right? We are going to collaboratively create local data. That's us working together, right? We are going to compare that local data with global research. That's what I bring to the table, right? And then we're going to collectively map how that world has changed and discuss what to do about it. All in a crisp 22 minutes, all right? So we're going to do that, all right? But essentially, this is not a lecture, all right? I did my doctoral work in Japanese studies at the University of Michigan, spent 3.5 years in Japan. This was one of my students listening to me talking about the future of technology, all right? This is not a good thing, all right? A lecture is an unfortunate managerial experience where the notes of the professor somehow magically becomes the notes of the participant without passing the cerebral cortex of either. That's not going to happen. All right, that's not going to happen. Your immediate future involves several quick exercises. You're the smart ones, all right? And so basically, here it is. I am going to force you to interface with other carbon-based life forms. All right, it is what we call the 3 by 3 by 3 exercise. Basically, in small groups, you're going to have to follow those form small groups. In 3 minutes, please discuss and be prepared to list the 3 greatest changes or basically those of you who are basically from Pittsburgh know that the plural of you is not y'all, it's yins. All right, so that yins envision commercial real estate professionals having to deal with in the next 3 years. Work among yourselves. I'll be out there in 3 minutes getting your answers. I know it sucks. I'm a professor. This is a working session. Go for it. What? I just had bacon. What? I didn't have my coffee. Go. Work. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
University of Michigan alum.
Hey, all right, that's awesome.
My graduate work there.
Nice work.
I was following you, and then you redeemed yourself because you said Ohio State.
I know.
Said, really?
I'm no longer in the will because my parents live off Gettys in Ann Arbor.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah.
Great area.
Yeah. All right, 2 minutes. All right, 1 minute. All right, ladies and gentlemen, pencils down. Thank you for doing that. Now, I know this will not come as a surprise to you, but this is not the first executive group that I have totally lost control over, all right? But all right, pencils down, ladies and gentlemen, I'm over here. All right, listen. All right, one is, as we go to the future, as you are the leaders and you have a responsibility for building the future, one of the skills that you're going to need to have, one of the skills that you're going to need to master is pattern recognition. Now, I'm rumored to be a pretty animated guy, like hyper-caffeinated, that type of stuff, right? But let me ask a question. Is there more energy in the room when I'm talking alone, or is there more energy in the room when you're talking to each other? talking to each other, right? And so that is because one of the other patterns you have to recognize is, we just did a study with Yankelovich, Scully, and White. It was an ethnographic study of basically senior level executives, time motion study. We sort of tracked what they did in a day. And we found that your typical C-level executive in the Fortune 500, basically the CAC Courant, and basically the DAX, basically we found that those executives basically have a 43-hour day, right? Because of all the multitasking they're doing. So a defining reality of the world we live in is exhaustion. There's so much work to do. So if you're going to actually make change happen, you're going to have to release energy. And people, oh my God, not a new initiative. I'm tired. So like the way you do is you give the mic away. You get them involved. So that's going on. So thank you for doing that exercise. I know it's early. I know it's morning. But now we're going to get some answers. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to break. I'm going to share with you a professorial guild secret. Since the days of Socrates, students have thought that sitting in the back of the room will protect you from professorial opinion, all right? So I'm coming back here to the cheap seats, all right? I'm coming back here to these two good-looking guys, all right? What did your guys, and introduce yourself. There are no strangers here. And what did your team come up with? Here you go. You've got the mic, sir.
Oh, Lord. Number one, too much data. How do you cut through the noise? Number two, how do you integrate all of your applications?
All right, great. Did everybody hear that? Those are great. Round of applause. Thank you for going first. That was really good, all right? So too much data, right? Too much data, and then how do you integrate it all, right? Very good. All right, I'm coming over here. Oh, look, can you see you're so busted. You guys are so busted. I mean, can you see these people? These guys are very good-looking men. I mean, they basically work their way through university as exotic male dancers, all right? So I'm going to ask them to work outside their comfort zone, i.e. without a pole, but what did you guys come up with?
Well, first, I think we're going to see a lot of consolidation. We're in the retail space, and consolidation of the developers and also consolidation of the tenants.
All right, consolidation of that's very, very good. So so consolidation of and you have one more.
No.
Oh, you're crisp. You're not in IT because you didn't go do scope creep. Very good. All right, here we go. All right. Hello, good morning. What did you guys come up with? Oh, you must be a senior executive. You passed the ball pretty quickly. There you go. Death by delegation. Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Yours.
So he said, first of all, there'd be tremendous speed and access, although we weren't going to say that the data was accurate. You had more access to more.
Right, there's just more data. We don't know whether it's right or not, but it's more data. Good.
And I guess a continued need for data standards so that you could share the data between systems. And everything's going to be global. I mean, it's not going to be siloed to a local market. It's going to be global.
Very global. Round of applause. Nicely done, right? Nicely done. And I wish we could see this woman. The nuns would be so proud. She's got the best penmanship. It's amazing. We love that. All right. Now I'm going to come up front because now we all know professors. The really, really smart students sit up front, and it's not because they're sucking up or anything like that. The reason they sit up front is because we have this blind spot that we don't see. But I'm on to you guys with a blind spot, so I'm coming over here, gentlemen. What did you come up with?
We concluded that the infrastructure in a lot of the buildings is going to be obsolete and that the demands of tenants are increasing significantly and won't keep up with the demand of the infrastructure.
Nice job. Loud and proud. The infrastructure is obsolete. Basically, what got us here is not going to get us to the future type of stuff. And you also talked about the expectations of the tenants, right? Because that's going exponentially, right? Very good. Round of applause. Nicely done. All right. Good. All right. So, thank you. I'm sorry we don't have more time. Sorry we don't have more time to do that. So we did the report backs. Were there patterns or trends in your responses? Were there similarities? There were kind of similarities. So one of the things that is why this shared space is so critically important. We're all going through a common experience, so we have to share that experience type of thing. So that's good. That's good type of thing. Here, let me share with you now. Okay, future boy, we gave you something. Give us something back. All right. So here's change number one: is there are 4 disruptive technologies which will change the commercial real estate game. All right, and history tells us that each era has a feel, a zeitgeist, a Weltanschauung, and part of that feel emerges from a defining technology. And the age, point one, the age we are entering has 4 defining technologies. And here they are. All right, we call this the SMAC stack, SMAC. Social, mobile, analytics / big data, and cloud, right? All of those together are basically basically the Internet of Things type of stuff, right? So the first time in a very long time, everyone, all the analysts, all the subscription research firms, everybody agrees that this is what's coming. And so here is the action item for us, ladies and gentlemen. We have to in era-defining technologies. We have to be world-class. When senior management, when our tenants, when our customers, when our stakeholders, when our employees come to us, what's the deal in social? What's the deal in mobile? What's the deal in cloud? What's the deal in analytics? We can't just go, duh, it's really confusing, or like show them a white paper, right? We're going to have to develop mastery, and we're not there yet. But all right, so all right, let me ask a question. What was the driving force behind Great Britain's empire? Those visuals are a hint. They had ships, right? They were sailors, right? Now, were the Brits always good at sailing? Think about it. No, think about it. I mean, they were an island, but not at the end of the reign of Henry VIII, he had relationship issues, right? So Hank VIII, at the end of the, basically, they weren't, even though they were an island, not only did the Brits not bathe, I mean, they didn't sail, they didn't float, only 20 of them could actually go outside the side of land and come back. But then somebody smart, probably a commercial real estate dude, basically said like, hey, we're an island. This sailing stuff might have a future. Right? So these East India guys said, hey, we should probably get good at this crap. All right? So, okay. So they do that, and then they said, well, we're not going to let's not have to figure it out ourselves. Is there somebody who's good at this? So they found out who's good at this, and then they copied the bejesus out of them. We don't call that plagiarism anymore in business schools. We call that reuse. Call that reuse or collaboration type of stuff. So that's going on. So that's what we're doing here. We're going to reuse, and that's why this program is so very, very powerful. So that's going on, all right? And so the third Socratic principle, and I know I can talk to you over drinks or something like that about all the other four, basically, is that excellence, arete, is teachable and learnable. Is teachable. You can get good at this new stuff. Actually, you have to get good at this new stuff. So that's going on. And so point 2 is disruptive technologies are disruptive. So always hear in my world, in the rubber chicken circuit, right? Everybody's always talking, wow, these are disruptive technologies. And then they go on, disruptive technologies, it means they're disruptive. And what are they disrupting? You! They're disrupting you! I mean, they're changing your stuff. Who wins, who loses, what you have to know, how you make money, whether your kids go to school or whether they become organ donors. That's disruption. That's going on. So like number 2 is no tolerance. No tolerance. This is a play on the word, and what do I mean by that? So actually somewhere, sometime, someplace, somewhy in the aughts, basically from 2000, the dark decade, 2000 to basically 2010, basically our species, particularly Homo in chargus, that's the boss, rediscovered data, right? And so here, many of you may know Charlie Rose. Wonderful show, wonderful guy. Not the deepest technology thinker, but he means well. He knows it's important. So anyway, Charlie had Paul Otellini on his show. And it was supposed to be a 22-minute, if you will, like a segment, basically on the future of technology. And so I was in the green room, basically because in case something happened, right? Well, Paul Otellini is not an engineer. But because he hangs out with engineers, he is a very crisp speaker. So this thing that was supposed to take 22 minutes, he finished in 7.5, right? And the stage manager is going, stretch it out. And so they come to me, hey, bow tie boy, feed him a question. He's dying out there. And I was like, okay. So I figured, we stall, right? We said ask him what's going to go obsolete next, right? And we're thinking that he's going to come up with quad core and talk about fabs or something like that, and that'll chew up all the rest of the time. Well, in a microsecond, as fast as their quad-core processors process, he said, what's going to go obsolete next, Charlie? Ignorance. Ignorance is going to go obsolete. Now, this is very, very interesting. Now, I know this is not a word we use a lot, right? But ignorance is not a synonym for stupidity. Stupidity is basically absence of intellect. That means you're outwitted by an inanimate object. All right? That's not good, and you can't fix stupid. Stupid's forever. You cannot fix stupid, all right? Right? Now, ignorance is actually not a pejorative phrase. It's the absence of awareness. It's that you don't know, but it's fixable. Now, I do not suggest that you go to your boss and say, hey, boss, you're looking particularly ignorant today. That's probably not a good thing, right? But I mean, ignorance. So ignorance, I'm a classically trained cultural anthropologist. And so ignorance actually is the new taboo. the new taboo. I mean, it's like slavery or beating children or something like that. You can't do it. Ignorance is no longer a state of nature. It's a choice. It's a choice, right? You can't say, oh, there's just so much to know. You know, I hear that all the time. I said, well, would you like some cheese with that wine? You know, just get over your bad self, all right, that type of thing. So now I'd like to really, all right, now you're great, but you've gotten a little quiet, so I want you, a 90-second exercise, very, very quickly, in small groups, please discuss what movie, novel, artwork, character, or TV show best describes the state of knowing in the commercial real estate industry today. So let's bring up those house lights again, work them on yourselves. I'll be out there in just a second. You know how this drill goes, so All right, 30 seconds, 30 seconds. All right, pencils down. Thank you for that. Just a very, very quick. You guys were having some fun here. You guys, come back, come back, come back, come back. Don't worry, everybody passes. Everybody passes. All right, we're going to come up here to these stud muffins and beet cake up front. All right, what did you get? What did you get? All right, ladies and gentlemen, please listen. Please listen.
Came up with Sheldon from the Big Bang Theory.
Sheldon from the Big Bang Theory. All right, round of applause. Nicely done. All right, a lot of people. All right. Now, why Sheldon from the Big Bang Theory?
Because you got to be all-knowing, no emotion involved. We're going forward. We're going to do it.
And such interpersonal skills he has, right? You know, I mean, okay, just Sheldon plus is right. Sheldon plus. All right, thank you. These guys look like they were having some fun too. Here we go, sir.
Rambo.
Oh, nice. Now, why Rambo? I got Sheldon and Rambo. We're sort of on different poles here. I mean, so why Rambo?
Just aggressive, go-getting, taking the knowledge that he's got to kind of move forward and get to the end goal.
All right, I love it. Get to the end goal. This is a take charge guy. Invest in this guy's company. Way to go. Round of applause. Nicely done. There we go. All right, here we go. Hello. Hi there. What did you guys come up with?
We said Groundhog Day.
Oh my God. I'm going to have to smoke afterwards. I love that. That is just awesome. That's odd. Why Groundhog Day?
Well, because you keep having the same problems, right, and you have a chance to try to find a resolution to them, and you're finally eventually going to get it right.
Oh, that is just a round of applause. That's awesome. That is great. Because, you know, I mean, they actually teach, like, they actually show Groundhog Day in, like, Zen philosophy courses, right? Because you go through all this type of stuff, but then you get better at it and better at it. I love that. That's really, really good. Look at that. Oh, we see a nod here. What did you and your team, what did you come up with? Oh, another senior executive here. Here we go.
We're from the UK, London, and the first film that came to my mind was Pride and Prejudice, being a period drama stuck in some ancient...
Nice, you know, and they wear funny clothes, you know, and they talk funny, you know, that type of thing. They're good. There seems to be pointless, right? So you're good. Good. No, round of applause. Thank you very much. Very good. All right. By the way, all right. So that's actually that was really, really good. That was great. So you did your report backs. Sort of interesting. We have different perspectives of what's going on. Here's what I need you to be era aware as we move forward. Era aware. And so here's the question. You know, it's a great question. I ask my students, right? Is like, did the people living in the Middle Ages know they were living in the Middle Ages? Now think about that. Now remember, I am an empirical futurist, right? So they say, well, what do you mean? Come on, Tubby. What are you talking about? All right, here's what I'm talking about. All right, if you were living in the Middle Ages, you have a 95% chance of being a peasant, right? And you wake up in the morning, right? You know, and you say, today sucks. You know, and if you're a historically focused peasant, you say, like, you know, come to think of it, yesterday sucked too. You know, and if you're a future focused peasant, you say, going out on a limb here, but I'm betting if I live, tomorrow's going to suck too. All right, that is medieval thinking. That means it just sucks, right? And yet, so many people in our industry, not you guys, but everybody else, thinks that it just sucks. And the interesting thing is, if you look at the history of ideas and how they evolved over time, basically what they said was, oh my God, you know, basically there was no idea of progress in the pre-Renaissance. It's like, you know, life sucks and then you die. You know, we can do better. We can do better. And now for every new technology There are people who are ahead of the curve, and those are the people we're going to be bringing up right after me, right? There are people who are on the curve. There are people behind the curve, and then there are the poor schmoos who don't even know that there is a curve. All right, so that's going on, type of thing, And here, now, I'm very, very fortunate. I spent a lot of time in the Japanese environment. Basically, and so, after the wall came down, the Japanese, the Soviets said, hey, we're modernizing our plants. Life is good. Come on over, check out our steel plants. And the Japanese executive touring the Japanese steel plant was asked, how far behind you are we? 5 years behind or 10? Now, the Japanese who play well with others said, yo, Boris, you are forever behind. Let's not sugarcoat it, man. You're going to suck forever, all right? You are going to suck forever, all right? And here's the deal, because this is the danger. Right now, everybody's sitting here. A lot of people are talking about the stuff that you've been doing, that Jim and Howard have been talking about for 15 years. Talk time is over. It's due time, all right? Because point 3 is early days won't last forever. It's time to get busy. It's time to do stuff, because this technology actually works. Blow your mind. So there is hope. Right, basically, there are heroes. And we're going to be talking to some of them. Basically, the Microsoft 88 Acres, if you have not read this stuff, it is great, and it's readable, and it's short, and it's for executives because it's in big print. So it's a good thing, right? So basically, I went to Dale's type of stuff. So basically, I won't go through this type of thing, but it actually in that article, basically, Dale, this is a quote from Dale. It's basically, if the facilities management world were Saturday morning cartoons, Smith, that would be you, butter, and his team have effectively flipped the channel from the Flintstones to the Jetsons. All right, so that's where we're going, So instead of using Stone Age rocks and hammers, Smith's team invented a solution that relies on data to find and fix problems instantly and remotely. The future is here. Like William Gibson basically says, the future, is unevenly distributed, but it's already here, type of thing. And then here. I had no idea. I love Kaiser Permanente. I'm very, very fortunate to be spending a lot of time with these guys. This is my new hero at Kaiser. This is Don Ordendorf. This guy's paid his dues. He was at the United States Navy, and he was at the Veteran Affairs, basically. And he now runs facilities for these guys, right? And I said, well, yeah, okay. I said, okay, so what's that, Jansan for a bunch of hospitals? He said, no. He said, oh, yeah? You know how much we spend every year building new hospitals? No. $4 billion. That's a lot. I think that's a lot. I'm from Maine. That's more than all of Maine. But anyway, that's, and they're building it the right way. So the rooms are healing. When you enter these new hospitals, they know you. The room knows you, right? It's part of the healing process. It's amazing. It's amazing. And then this is Vince Kellen. I don't know if Vince is at the University of Kentucky. He is the CIO and the vice provost. He is actually doing amazing things, basically, with big data. But one of the things he's doing is figuring out, how are we using our facilities? How are we using our facilities? And they're doing a great job with that type of thing. And then Bill Schlau, SVP, San Francisco Giants. This guy is amazing. These guys, basically, the Giants are out there in San Francisco, Silicon Valley, all this other type of stuff. And so, people won't come to the park if they're not connected. People will not come to the park if they're not connected. So the best Wi-Fi in the world is basically at the park. And so he's building that out type of stuff. It's just amazing, just amazing. And then Bill Martin, I know, what the hell? By the way, this is Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. These are the ones that stay up. This is not Carnival Cruise Line, boom, hey, what? This is Carnival Cruise Line, send your mother-in-law on that bad boy. Because she ain't coming back. These are the guys who stay up. But basically, Bill, I said, Bill, what's going on? Because I love Bill down in Miami, wonderful human being. I said, and he's done some stuff with big data, digital signage, a la what Disney does, wonderful things, right? But I said, how are you getting over this brand problem and all these other stuff? That's not the issue. Here's the issue. We did a strategic plan. 10 years out, people are going to view our boats as prisons because there's no connectivity. And people would rather be boiled in their own excrement than go someplace where they don't have total connectivity. By the way, the phrases and that you hear today do not necessarily represent those of the conference organizers. Or, Another one of my titles, ladies and gentlemen, is litigant. All right. So let me close with my final story, and then I'll return the podium to adult supervision. So I travel quite a bit. And so, I actually had a teaching appointment at the University of Amsterdam's Controllers Institute. By the way, if any of you have ever spent time in the Netherlands, right, you know that the Dutch are the people who taught the Scotch how to be cheap. so I'm with a bunch of Dutch controllers. But anyway, so I go, I fly all the time. I'm the #1 domestic flyer for United, #1 domestic flyer for U.S. Airways. So anyway, they let me on first, right? So it's nice, but so I go out and you cocoon in, you get ready, and I'm not in first class, but I'm way in the back. And so you always come in, and then you always see the big person coming at you, right? Boom, 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 boom. I mean, this guy was so big his ears sweat, right? This guy was so big his ears sweat. Oh my God, don't sit next to me. And so and he sort of blocks the sun. He walks by, right? I go, shoo. And so he goes by, and then this stunningly attractive, basically Dutch woman. I mean, they all look like Xena. I mean, forgive me for this. I mean, I'm so politically incorrect, right? But I'm just stunningly attractive, right? And I'm going, maybe she'll sit next to me. And she said, that's my seat. I said, thank you, Jesus. Now I'm thinking, what's my opening line? Hi, I'm Jim Young. That might work, but no, I'm but then I said, I'm James Bond. No, that's been done before, right? What am I going to do? And she's very, very attractive, and she's very, very dressed up and all this other type of stuff. And so she's getting settled, and she crosses her legs, and then she puts her hands on her lap, and I see this amazing diamond ring on her right finger, right, type of thing, And this is a Texas big diamond ring. I mean, it's like a finger tumor. I mean, and she said, you're looking at my wedding ring. And I said, it can't be your wedding ring. I said, why? I said, it's on the wrong hand. And she says, looks at these amazing Dutch blue eyes. She says, I married the wrong man. Now, I know you're wondering how the story ends. I'm a strategy guy. I don't do implementation, all right? But basically, that is the metaphor for what's going on in our life here at this conference, if you will, ladies and gentlemen. We have this amazing jewel, this amazing ring with all this technology, which actually works. But we've got it on the wrong hand. We've got it, it's a pilot, or it's an experiment, or it's nice to talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get busy, and this is the place to do it. So good luck, and thank you very much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our next speaker, Anant Yardi, founder and CEO of Yardi Systems.
The clicker? It's up there. So first, let me start by saying I feel exhausted. I don't know about all of you. The second thing I'm going to say is I have a bone to pick. I don't want to be the speaker after Thornton. That just is not going to work out. It is not going to work out. Jim, you owe me big time. You owe me big time. Okay, so innovation and innovation revolution. Thornton was just an amazing speaker in terms of the future. I was glad to hear that he leaves implementations to other folks like maybe me and some of us. And so that's what this is going to be about. It's not going to be about whether folks in the Middle Ages thought things sucked or not. It's going to be about what's happening today. And I was relieved to find that the four major sort of trends that Thornton talked about are in fact the four trends that I'll be touching on. There are small differences in terms of priorities, but we'll work through those details. So in terms of innovation, which is the topic for this discussion and the theme for this conference, I'd like to suggest that technology trends, innovation, and change management go hand in hand. I'd like to speak to innovation in terms of what is innovation? It's not ideas, it is change, it is something new that helps all of us. And the purpose of innovation, at least at Realcomm and all of the conferences that you might attend, would be to see if there are ways to improve operations in commercial buildings and multifamily buildings, in property. The things that drive and spur innovation are first clients. which is I look forward to speaking with as many of you as possible. And the purpose of this dialogue, it's true that we like to sell our systems, but I'm going to set that aside for now. That was, by the way, a joke, an attempt at a joke. But I can see, okay. So, so we look forward to these conferences in part because there's dialogue. We want to hear the problems that you're faced with. We want to sort of discuss the new technologies and trends that are surrounding us. And innovation almost always is driven by clients. It's also driven by competition. We want to be sure that we are competitive in the marketplace, and the free enterprise system, in fact, is driven through competition. And, of course, exchange of ideas. The four major trends that we see in this marketplace are mobility, social media, business intelligence or big data, and cloud computing. With respect to mobility, and with respect to these trends, as Thornton pointed out, there is the potential for disruption. And disruption means things will change in terms of your exposure to the marketplace. And certainly as a software provider, we have to be mindful of change too. Thanks to social media, there are changes in behavior, changes in expectations. And because of some of the things that are occurring in the marketplace, there is a reduced barrier to entry. That is, the competition part for you and for us has become somewhat less of an obstacle because of new technology. In terms of mobility, the first quarter of 2013, there were 20 million iPads sold. That's 20 million. Samsung sold 12 million tablets. And iPad sales went up by 65%. These are just staggering numbers. In the same period, PC sales went down by 13%. If you look at the stats here, HP sold 12 million PCs, and Dell, which is going private, sold 9 million PCs. It's interesting that the number of iPads sold in the same quarter equal the number of PCs sold by the two largest providers of PCs, HP and Dell. And there's a message here. You might wonder, are these tablets and iPads and Samsungs being purchased for personal usage? But in fact, the surveys are indicating that corporate America is also adopting tablets, and the growth is anticipated to be about 48% over the next 2 or 3 years. And these are changes that are really quite pervasive, which is in the surveys that were done. There were just 10 or 15% of the companies that were surveyed said they had no interest in tablets. Senior management, as you can see from these surveys, were greatly interested. And in fact, I find in many of the meetings that I attend, senior managers will have an iPad. I have to confess, I haven't seen a Samsung, but many of them will walk in with their iPads. In terms of products that are being brought to the marketplace, many of you, and in fact all of you, will have ERP solutions. We are finding that there are solutions that are now available on tablets and iPads, and this would be one example. We also find that there are a number of apps that are being written for whether it is iPhones, Androids, iPads, and these apps are specific to the commercial real estate industry, and they provide for tenants things such as the capacity to enter work orders and service requests, to make payments online if they wish to. In addition to this, there are apps now available for purchase order approval, which is the P2P cycle can be automated, where on your iPhone, your tablet, your iPad, you can see the purchase orders that are pending approval. You can also drill down to invoices and the actual documents and approve them online. And these apps then will communicate with the ERP solution using something called web services. Other examples of apps would be mobile maintenance, where a technician who is going to a site can look at the work orders that are pending and then drill down on the work orders and close it. By the same token, here's an iPad app where a maintenance manager is keeping track of the maintenance crew on a map and while assigning and dispatching work orders. Scheduling of work orders would be another example of an app. So I'd like to suggest that mobility is here to stay, the adoption is widespread, and I'd like to suggest that in the near future, you're going to see apps to do the kinds of things that you might want to do for managing commercial real estate. Social media, 1 billion connections on Facebook, 2.7 billion likes per day. I have to confess, I haven't liked anybody in the last 10 days, so I don't know about you, but I certainly am not included in the 2.7 billion likes. 250 million photographs being uploaded each day. But social media, for those of you that feel social media is something that is prevalent and adopted for personal use, for entertainment, that's not exactly true. Because we're finding in the surveys that have been done that corporate America is adopting social media for promoting their sites, for creating videos, and staying in touch. Another part of social media is everybody, so most people, before you go to a restaurant, you look at Yelp. And people, your tenants, your employees are making statements about the buildings that you manage or own. It is a complicated task if you manage a few hundred buildings to figure out what people are saying about your buildings. Reputation management is something that you need to be concerned about. If I can share with you a story, which is on Yelp, I typed in the name Yardi to see what came up. We don't have any restaurants. But the message that came up was for a Mexican restaurant, which is just around the corner from our Santa Barbara office. And the message was, the food is good, avoid Yardi employees, don't go there. So that was sort of interesting, something new that I learned. Social media and all of the different tools that are available. And as you can see, and I have to confess, as you can see, there are a number of different programs, and you turn around and there's a new program. The latest that I heard about was WhatsApp and Snapchat. And each one of them seems to have about $1 billion in terms of valuations. And my reaction to all of this was this feels a little bit like the dot-com era, where there is just a tremendous amount of interest and activity, and Wall Street is funding all of these startups. But by the same token, the dot-com era, there may have been instances of expectations that were unrealized. But there was change that occurred, and there were a number of ways in which we changed the way we do business. I think the same thing is going to happen with social media. Let me share with you the types of programs that are being made available. Reputation management, the capacity to go to all of the different properties and look at what people are saying about you. On Facebook, to be able to list your property. Interfacing using the Facebook API to be able to extract data from your ERP solution and list it on Facebook. To be able to look at floor plans, to apply online, to make payments online. And these are all things that are available, and it's my feeling that in course of time, social media is going to be just a major part of everything that we do. Business intelligence. The drivers are optimizing your operations. forecasting opportunities, reducing risk. We find that the decision drivers are ease of implementation, ease of use, and total cost of operations. As we look at the different solutions that are available, and this particular Magic Quadrant shows a number of different platforms for business intelligence and big data. And Microsoft, which is the platform that seems to be popular in the commercial property management and investment management arena, has just released something called the tabular data model, which is a hybrid between the NoSQL type of database management and relational databases, and very effective in terms of delivering the right kind of value. Here are some examples of programs that are available. So this is a Portfolio BI screen available on your tablet, your iPad. And on the top, you see key performance indicators. The key performance indicators can be customized, and you can pick the things that you wish to monitor, such as delinquency, occupancy, net effective rent, net operating income. As you click on any one of these KPIs, the bottom part changes and will give you more detail about your top performing properties or the bottom properties. In this example, we are looking at occupancy, followed by net effective rent. Another example of a BI solution or a BI visualization tool would be this, where for each one of your properties, you can see the photographs, you can see the performance of the property, you can compare it to the performance last year. And along with it, you can see detailed financial data. BI developments seem to fall into three categories. Descriptive, which is look at what happened historically. Predictive, that is, give us some sense of what we might expect in the future. And prescriptive, which would be give us some hints as to what we might want to do. An example of a descriptive or predictive report would be something like this, where you're looking at, let's say, your occupancy levels. You know your leases are expiring. You know the vacancy is going to ratchet up. What should you be doing? And this is where comparing occupancy this year to last year, looking at the traffic or the deals that may have been signed or in the pipeline but haven't really become leases so far, you can begin to get some sense of the future. And the prediction part would relate to how should you market your building? That would be one example. How should you price your building? That would be another example. I had to throw in this sort of picture or this visual, which Jim Young, I think, gets credit for, or the Realcomm team, which is, in my mind, I was looking at these tools that are available in the previous graphs, and I said, this is all looking good, but Jim's not satisfied. He wants to connect everything that's associated and available to commercial property managers, and that includes financial data, connected buildings and facilities, human resources, information technology, and corporate real estate. Cloud computing, which is here to stay. The only thing I'd like to add here is there's the notion of private clouds, which is there is the notion of a generic cloud where you may not get to control your applications and how you wish to run that application. You may not get to control your Active Directory, your policies and procedures. But the private cloud industry is becoming quite sort of prevalent too, where you can ask for and get delivered storage and processing capacity, and you get to control it. So take a look at both private clouds and general clouds. I'd like to touch on, so we talked about technology trends. We talked about what's happening in the marketplace. We touched on innovation. And I'd like to now touch on the implementation part of it, which is change management. For us, change management starts with an objective assessment. That is, there has to be clarity of purpose before you can embark on any change. The second thing that we find is in the leadership, there has to be acceptance of shared vision. That is, you have to, once you embark on change and once you decide that you wish to take advantage of these technology trends and provide the right kind of innovation for your company, there has to be shared vision. You have to decide on what it is that you're going to do. Communicating the shared vision to all of the people who will be affected by it is another extremely important part. The next step for us is goal setting, which is nothing happens in the absence of well-defined goals. When you get to that last day or the last month and it's still not ready, there are magical ways in which people become more productive. And I'd like to suggest to you that goal setting is just such an important aspect of making change. And then the last aspect, of course, is setback management, which is anytime you attempt to change innovation, there will be setbacks, and you need to be able to manage that properly. I thought I would close by showing some snippets in terms of what innovators had to say. And I decided to go 100 years back just because I had this notion that innovators today tend to be too commercially focused. And I was surprised to find, so if I can read some of these to you, Alexander Graham Bell, leave the beaten track and dive into the woods, applies today. Edison, 10% inspiration, 90% perspiration. It takes effort to bring about change. The thing that I really was surprised with was Edison's last statement. Anything that won't sell, I don't want to invent. And for some reason, I had assumed that 100 years ago, things were different, that genius, creativity would sort of take precedence over commercial sort of value and benefit. But apparently, that wasn't the case. Looking at two innovators today, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. Gates predicted that one day there will be a PC on every desk, and that certainly has come true. What he didn't predict was one day when there is a PC on every desk, there'll be 2 or 3 monitors. And I'm not sure why everybody has to have so many monitors, but that's happening too. I'd like to suggest that one day there's going to be a tablet in every briefcase. And in fact, looking at some of you, I can see that you've got your tablets out. Steve Jobs and Bill Gates had this rivalry. And I wanted to touch on this because competition does just amazing things in terms of innovation. And as you might remember, Steve Jobs accused Bill Gates of pirating and copying their graphical user interface. Whereupon Bill Gates had to say, we both had this rich neighbor. Now, for those of you that don't remember, the graphical user interface was created by Xerox PARC and in Xerox PARC. So Bill Gates' response was, we both had this neighbor named Xerox. I broke into his house to steal, but found that you had stolen already. Just sort of an amazing statement. And Steve Jobs' response, Bill Gates is narrow. He should have dropped acid and spent some time in an ashram. And it is just interesting to look at these rivalries, and these are the things that spur innovation and change. So let me close by saying that hope all of you use this forum to exchange ideas, to explore new opportunities, to innovate, to lead by example. We hope that you become change agents, but most of all, we hope that you enjoy the conference and use it as a growing tool. Thank you.